Good morning, my friends. It is going to be a beautiful day in the garden. Today I have some planting to do. If you saw the last planting video, plant shopping video that I did, we had gone down to Hand Nursery and then we went to Green Acres Nursery, and I got some beautiful things over at Green Acres, and we're gonna work on getting those planted today. One of them being this hopseed bush, and I am so ready to start getting these things planted in the ground because it's going to start creating my privacy wall that I want in the garden. And I am so ready to start feeling like I've got privacy, and I want it to feel like you're kind of like closed in a little bit in my garden and not so it's so open. And I want to block some views. There's some views I want to block, and there's some things that I just need to have disappear in the garden, and getting things planted is going to help. Look how beautiful that is going to be. Oh, I'm so excited to get it in the garden. So let's go over what I have to get planted today. Unfortunately, what I have for you guys today is warmer zone only plants, so I am sorry about that. The first one that I've got is a Pittosporum. As I put it in my mouth, isn't this thing so pretty? Look at the dark stems on this. Aren't those amazing? Dark stems, glossy green foliar growth. It is zones 8A through zone 11. It says 10. You could definitely grow this if you're in a zone 11. I know you can grow this if you're in a zone 11. Beautiful, beautiful evergreen. They come in all different kinds of sizes. I have one that I don't know the size of it, but I don't expect it to get much bigger than it is. I have one called, I think it's like golf ball or something like that. Beach ball, and it stays relatively small. This one here is going to get 16 feet tall and 8 feet wide, so pretty good size, and it's perfect for screening. It's an evergreen. It is so gorgeous. It tolerates full sun to partial shade, and as it grows up, it's going to be a little more like airy, like how it is like right here. When they're young, they're pretty dense like this. It is one that you can also prune to if you want it to be in kind of like a hedge shape. I am gonna just let this thing grow natural, wild, and just be beautiful in the garden. And it also is a little bit more drought tolerant. It's not totally drought tolerant. It still needs water. Drought tolerant doesn't mean no water. Drought tolerant means that it can handle less water. So this is a water-wise plant to add into your garden. And I'm so excited to get this one in the garden because it's gonna be just a beautiful piece. Just the black stems on it are just one feature that I really love about certain plants. And this is one of the plants that I really love. This is the next one. Oh, it's sponge reported. This is the next one. This thing is huge. So, I'm going to talk about it. This is a hopseed bush, and it is a beautiful, beautiful evergreen plant. We have 3 of them on our property currently. I've got one that's a little bit more mature. They get about 12 to like 15 feet tall, and they get about a 10-foot spread, but that's at the base. They kind of have a pyramidal-ish shape to them, not fully pyramidal shape. This one, it has been pruned up and limbed up, so now it is in a tree form, meaning it's not going to get that wide because the top of it's never get that big. So this one is going to stay a little bit smaller, so it's a perfect little accent to add in the garden. And I'm so excited to have this one that's tree shaped instead of having it be bush shaped, because the ones that I do have are all bush shaped. And so I think this is going to be so beautiful. It's evergreen, it's higher zones only, it's zones 8 through 11 also, and so warmer zones only. Again, I'm sorry for those of you in lower zones. In the winter time, it's got this beautiful bronzy color to it, and in the spring and summertime it is a beautiful green color, and then it fades back to this red color every single fall and through the winter. So it's really cool. You've got multiple seasons of interest just from this one evergreen, and then it's got these little teeny tiny flowers. They're kind of underwhelming. They don't really do much for me, but they are so pretty to have in the landscape, and they're very airy and just kind of like free. And I love the way like just how that just kind of like whispered in the wind a little bit. Look how it moved. Isn't that so cool? And I like it because one side of the leaf is darker and the other side is a little bit more silvery, and so they kind of like shimmer a little bit. I think they're really very interesting plants. So very excited to get this one. This one's going to be planted in the ground to help start blocking some of our neighbors' properties. And so we can start creating a screen around the property, and we don't have to deal with unsightly borrowed views, and we can start making gorgeous views for us. And so I'm excited to get this one on the ground. Okay, this last one is a Hellebore that we're gonna get planted in the ground. Hellebores are not warmer zones only, but I picked this up. Isn't that the most delightful bloom you've ever seen in your entire life? It's so gorgeous. This one is a mixed variety. It just says Oriental Assorted. So I'm assuming that they probably started these ones from seed, meaning that they don't have a set variety. They're probably just like a version, a variety. They're probably like a category. So like Oriental Assorted, it's probably some version of that. These ones will get about 2 feet with their foliar growth, and they are also an evergreen. You do want to cut back their foliar growth. So next year I will cut this back in the springtime before it starts really starting to like bud out, before it starts doing all of this would get cut back from next year. So it says that it's hardy down to 0 degrees. They grow in most growing zones, and you can really get them in a huge variety of colors, and you can get them in a variety of flower count. So with these guys, I really wanted to get one that was a double. There's a series called like Wedding or something like that, and they have the most beautiful, beautiful blooms. And so when I saw this one and I saw it was a double, and I like how dusty green it is, and then it's got like these soft like pastel colors to it, and then it has some of the speckling on it. Look at the speckling. Isn't that so gorgeous? So when I saw this one, I knew I had to grab it. It was 16 bucks and it was totally worth it. It was the only one that was like this, so I grabbed it. If there was more, I would have grabbed all of them. It's kind of got a floppy stem on it, and I don't know if that's going to be a characteristic of this Hellebore, or if it's just because it's in its nursery can, and maybe it just wasn't getting enough sun for it. But either way, I'm still very excited about this Hellebore. And one thing about Hellebores, you can't even see on this one. So these outer things right here aren't petals. These are called the sepals or whatever they're called, and the petals are actually covered in aphids. We have aphids in our gardens already. Living in California, we don't get cold enough to kill the aphids. We're living the dream. This guy I'm probably gonna end up spraying with some neem oil because I don't want to introduce aphids into my garden already. I'm sure they'll find their way, but I'm just not mentally prepared for that right now. So you can see here, these are the stamens in here, and there's usually petals down here at the base of the stamens, and then these are called the sepals, and they're not actually flower petals, they're just called sepals. So they are totally different, but this one, I'm not seeing any of the flower petals on it. Either way, we're gonna get this planted today, and I'm excited to get this little Hellebore in here. If I was smart, I would probably go ahead and put a cage around these just to help keep these blooms up straight, but we know how that goes. So let's go ahead and go back, and I'll show you guys where all of this stuff is gonna get planted. I really do have to spray this. Look at all these dots. These are all aphids. What is going on? Ew. What is happening? That is just, I'm covered in aphids. Was it from the Hellebore? Was it from the Pittosporum? Who's covered in aphids? They're not on this. They're on this. Welcome to spring in California. Those are aphids. Okay, I'm probably not gonna plant this today. It's gonna go in isolation, but it is going to get sprayed. I will say, if you deal with aphids, usually aphids attack a weak plant. So what's happening is they go after plants that are already stressed out. And so this one being in a container is not helping, and probably why it's stressed, and the aphids know it's a weak plant, meaning that they can easily target it and easily go after it, and they can easily drain it. Any more on me? Gross. Let's go get things planted. Instead of the Hellebore, we're actually going to plant up these poppies because these poppies do not have aphids on them. So this is what we're gonna get planted today. I have 3 different varieties. Let me show you guys the tag of these poppies and look how many blooms there are to come. So exciting. So I went ahead and I grabbed a variety of them. I grabbed these 3 right here. How gorgeous is that one? So this one is the Iceland Poppy Coldberry Peach. beautiful poppy. And then I also grabbed the champagne bubbles mix, and I had grown one of these and I got orange, but this one that I pulled it out of already has a like pastel bloom color in it, which is kind of the vibe I was going for. And then I also grabbed the Colbury salmon, and I thought that that one was really pretty. I liked the dark pink closer to the centers on that. I thought that that was a really gorgeous one. So 3 beautiful varieties of poppies. And so these are going to be full sun lovers, and I love these poppies. They always come back for me. I have one that I have in my front yard, and it's a very, very obnoxious orange color, but it's one of my favorite things, so I don't take it out. 18 inches tall, 8 inches wide, and the one that I have up front definitely gets wider than that. So I would say that it probably gets about like 14 inches wide, and it definitely gets about 18 to maybe like 20 inches tall. The blooms, some of them, you'll get the occasional one that shoots up really, really tall. And they also get the most gorgeous seed heads. I love the seed heads. I actually save a ton of them. I have them inside my house because I think that they're so pretty. You want to plant them in full sun. They like as much sun as they can get. They usually stop blooming pretty quick in my growing zone in zone 9. And the one that I have is in like super poor soil, and I don't fertilize it. I just basically neglect the thing, and it just gives me a ton of gorgeous blooms. So that's my plan for these ones, is to neglect and say good luck. So we're gonna take all of these to the backyard now, and we're gonna get everything planted. So this is the view we're gonna start blocking, and I'm so excited to start getting it blocked. And the first thing we're gonna do is we're going to plant the hopseed bush, which is now hopseed tree. And I'm thinking I want to plant it right here, and it's going to grow, and then it's going to block all of this right there. So that'll start blocking some of that view, which I think will be nice. And then the Pittosporum, I'm thinking about putting it maybe right here, maybe a little further back probably actually. And that'll grow and that'll block that. The crabapple is going to grow and it should reach about there. I've got the holly, which will be nice. And then the poppies that I have, I think I'm going to just plant them right here at the very edge. And I think that'll be a nice little pop of color. So we're really just working in this one little area right here. And I think it's going to be so perfect. And I'm very excited to start blocking the view of the roof. So obviously I'm stalling to have to dig the giant hole that I have to dig for that hopseed bush tree, whatever it might be now. And I did the two easiest things first, which was the Pittosporum and the Poppies. And now I think I'm gonna just show you guys what happened. We just had a crazy multiple days of rainstorm. One day it was like a 6-hour period, and we had like 2 inches of rain come down, and so there was a lot of water, and there's been a lot of problems. So I'm gonna show you guys how bad things look right now. But first I'll show you the Pittosporum. So we got that planted, and that's going to be so beautiful. It's going to double the size of the fence, and it's going to help block the telephone pole. I planted as close to the fence as possible, just so I could have planting space in front of it. So I've got Pittosporum there, and then I have a chokeberry right here, because I still need to be able to access this water. So I planted something that's not going to get huge or like totally like obstruct this. If I had planted the Pittosporum this way, it would have obstructed this. And so Pittosporum, chokeberry, and then this is the other Pittosporum. So it's 2 different varieties that I'll have back here, but you can see how like airy this one is. And I think this is a smaller one. I don't think this one's gonna get nearly as big. I really don't see it getting probably too much bigger than it is now, but you can see how it's kind of like airy and free, and I really love it. This is the one that made me start to really love them, and this one's about 3 years old. So this one, it grew really fast to this stage, and it hasn't really didn't do anything last year. It maybe put on that growth last year, but it reached this size very quickly, and I've loved having this tree. So it'll be nice to have this one, and then the red from the chokeberry, and then this here, and that one will help really mask that telephone pole. And then, as I said, there's been lots of issues with how much water we just received. So all of the trenches that we dug, we had filled them back in for the electrical and the water, and they've all sunk in, and it's so bad. Some of them are very deep. And then also we had an issue with a gopher or a mole. I don't know who it is, but I think it ate all my tulip bulbs. Very upsetting. So this is like the least worst spot, and you can see how much everything is sunk in. Some of them have sunk in probably about like 8 to 9 inches down, so we're gonna have to go back in and refill all of these. But back here, this bed, I don't know what happened. Well, I do know what happened. Somebody came in here and just went to town. I'm not finding any bulbs in here. Whatever it was, whoever it was, came in from back here and went to town. Like, yeah, that's what I'm finding. So there's very few bulbs left in here, and I can see he went all the way back here too. Just so upsetting. I don't know what happened to all the dirt. It just disappeared. He came through, like, oh, there's no bulbs. There's nothing. Oh, there's a bulb. That's good, I guess. Maybe I'll put that aside. And like, here's a bulb. Here's a couple bulbs that he missed. But, like, is that a bulb? Here's a bulb. He just got almost all of them. And that one's rotting. He left the ones that are rotting. Thanks. Guess I'm gonna tuck these two somewhere else. So I'm just gonna tuck these into this bed of lupin that I have right here, and snapdragons. I guess I'll take 2 in this bed, and I know it's not gonna get into this bed. This one's mush. Shoot. Whatever. I know it's not gonna get into this bed because this bed is lined, and that bed right there is not lined at the bottom. Whatever at this point. I'm thinking I'm gonna just, before the season comes, I'm going to take all the soil out of there, and I'm gonna put metal mesh, like chicken wire or hardware cloth, at the very bottom of it. I'll probably do a double layer, and as I build new beds, all of them will get double layer of wire at the bottom, so nobody goes up and does exactly that, because there was probably about $200 worth of bulbs in that bed, and those were going to be my experimental bulbs. Those were my ones where I did lots of color, and I was very excited about it, and there's gonna be lots of beautiful things in it. Like, I think I had some like tulip brownie and the copper image, and I had some parrot ones. I had all kinds of varieties of tulips in there, and they're gone. That's living the dream. So I wanted to show you guys that, and then the all the ruts that we have in these beds now. It's It's gonna be a lot of work. We've got our work cut out for us now. We've got lots of things that we need to do. Like, look at this. This rut, you can see it's like just a little bit there, but this one goes down so far. So we're gonna have to come in and refill all these ruts back up. Who knows where all the soil goes. And what sucks too is like our sprinklers, they were at the like perfect level. They were raised up a little bit with the ground. We didn't want them like dead flat. We wanted them raised up, and they were. And then everything just sunk down, and now they are below ground level. So we're gonna have to come in and redig those guys out, and it's just gonna be a mess. And the dogs have been trampling through, so we've got wood, and we're doing great, doing fabulous. So this is our hop seed bush, and you can see it's more like bush shaped. Okay, it gets a little too much shade down here, so she's a little thin at the base and then thick up top. It's fine if it was grown in a more appropriate location, like this one's about to be placed in. It would be more pyramidal shaped. I mean, even this one, I think it might be a cool idea if I came in and limbed up the bottom of it, so that way there's tons of like planting space around it. But I kind of like this one being nice and full, and so comes up nice to the top. I do think that part of the reason that it spreads is because our next door neighbors have this Lady Banks rose, and I think that it's like climbing into the hopseed bush, and it's giving it some issues. It's like putting too much pressure on the branches and weighing it down just a little bit. So I think that might be part of the issue. So I am gonna come back this springtime and shear back that Lady Banks rose like I do every year. Okay, we can get that one planted now. Right, we got it in, and look, it's already starting to do its job. I did not think that the top of it would be above the fence. I thought that the top of it would be at fence level. So right off the bat, that's super exciting. And it fit perfectly in the hole, and I did plant it as close to the edging there, or to the cement pad that's there. I planted it as close as possible that way. And then I did plant it really close to the fence, because my plan with it is to continue to limb up as this thing continues to grow. So all of these lower branches are going to get cut off as it continues to get taller. And so that way it continues to put energy into becoming a very tall tree instead of a short tree. So I'm thinking this year we'll probably get some growth off of it. And then probably this fall I can come in and do some cleanup off of it on the bottom half, and we'll just keep limbing her up and keep continuing to make a big tree. But look, it's already doing its job. It's already starting to mask. How cool is that? I did take the plant stake that was in there. It was right up against the tree, and I did come in and I cut it out. I didn't want it there. You really don't want to have your thing staked up for too long. What I did do is I put it at the base and I scooted it away really, really far. I want this thing to be able to focus on root growth. And what I did do is I went in with a bungee cord and I just bungeed it to this. The bungee cord is a very soft material, and so you don't want to ever use anything like a string, because string will cut into the bark of your tree. Bark actually is very, very soft, so you don't want to use anything super heavy on it. So the bungee cord is going to be perfect for that, because it's going to be soft and it's going to continue to allow this tree to move and work on root growth. But if a very strong windstorm comes, it's not going to topple over, which is exactly what I don't want for this tree. So that's going to give it some extra support, but it's going to make it have to start relying on its roots. So if you are going to stake up your trees in your garden, you really don't want to do it for more than a year at most. And you want to make sure that you're using soft material to tie up your trees. That's very, very important. I've done it in the past where we used a rope and it cut into the bark of the tree, causing an issue. Learn from my mistake. Use something very soft. The green gardener tape, that stuff is fabulous. Like I said, not more than a year though. Otherwise the bark won't break through it, it'll start growing around it, and it's going to cause an issue with your bark, and that causes a very unhealthy tree. So that, my friends, is all that I have for you today. I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you guys for coming along with us. I'm so excited to start working on this privacy wall with the Pittosporum and the hopseed bush and hopseed tree. And I've got an exciting load of plants coming here very soon, and I can't wait for you guys to see all of those. So thank you guys for visiting our garden. If you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button if you haven't had a chance to already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.